Okay, family. I'm back in the room now, and I thought just for about 4 or 5 minutes I'd talk to you a little bit. And this is something that I may try to do every morning, just talk to you a little bit about Africa and my trip here to Africa. Quickly, though, I want to show you what the mosquito net looks like here in this particular hotel. Pardon the room, but that's where I sleep at night. It's not a little princess thing. It's just out of mosquito net. And this is where if I had to get up at night and go to the bathroom, I go in and out here, and then I close it back up and actually have it tucked in all the way around. But really here, there's really not much of a mosquito issue, basically because I've been keeping the windows closed. Um, but don't have a lot of storage space. So that's where a lot of my clothes are hanging and my suitcases. Excuse me. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit, first of all, about my trip. And again, excuse me, I'm still in a half sleep stage. But my journey was 31 hours coming from Charlotte, North Carolina. Flew from Charlotte to Chicago. Had an hour and a half layover in Chicago, and then from Chicago to Doha, Qatar, which was 13-hour flight. It really wasn't that bad. Had several meals, and it was smooth sailing. We got to Qatar. Qatar is in Saudi Arabia, and I had a 8-hour layover there in Qatar. Excuse me. Didn't feel, excuse me, very comfortable there in Saudi Arabia. And I guess the majority of it is like my mindset, what we've been told about Saudi Arabia. And the people weren't very friendly at all. So I found me a spot and sat there and kept quiet. And then we flew from Qatar, excuse me, to here in Dar es Salaam, which was another 6-hour flight. And we had to wear a regular mask on the flight as well as the shield on the flight. But once we got off the airplane, first thing they did was take our temperature. And if your temperature's good, then you go on in to, get your visa. We got visa on arrival. You could get visa online before you go, but it requires you to have a round trip ticket. And my purpose was to come one way. Actually, when I got to Chicago and registered at at Qatar Airlines in Chicago, the lady said to me, "You only have a one-way ticket." And I explained to her that I was going to stay several months, and I was told I could get a cheaper ticket coming back. So she hesitated a while, and then she just let me go on through. But we know that was God doing that. And once we got here, like I said, went through the temperature, went through the visa. And I was noticing some of the people were getting their fingerprints done. And when it became my turn, he didn't take my fingerprint. They had a problem with my passport. It was something, the gentleman said it was some kind of glitch or something. But anyway, it took me about 5 minutes longer than most people. But they finally got through. I got the visa. The visa was $100. It is a multiple entry visa. It's good for 1 year. And it means every 90 days, I have to leave the country and come back in. And it's not as bad as it sounds. In most cases, you can drive to the nearest border, cross the border, stay for a day, and come back in. There are alternate visas that you can get, but I'm still learning about those now. Excuse me. But anyway, I've been here 2 weeks now, so it'll be a minute before I concern myself with exiting the country and then coming back in. Why they do that, I have no idea, but it's the laws here, so we have to follow the laws. And we're trying to make sure we do everything right and correct. Upon getting here, the driver from the hotel was waiting for me. You know, he had the sign with my name on it. And I did a little short video with him. His name is Francis. And of course, he knew automatically who I was because on the WhatsApp had my picture. So he knew he was looking for a white-haired man. But anyway, Friday of last week, I finally was able to get my SIM card. Okay, and I need to back up a little bit because it ties into the fingerprint story. Okay, when I went to get my SIM card the next day after arriving, the first thing they do is take your fingerprint. Okay, and they match it with the records in immigration. And of course, because they did not take my fingerprints, there was no record to match, which means I could not get a SIM card, a local SIM card. Okay, so we tried again in 2 days. Still, the records weren't there. So we went to immigration and they told us for people who were under 18 or over 59, they do not take your fingerprints. Okay? If you're under 18 or over 59, they do not take your fingerprints, which means I had to go back to the airport, to immigration, and have my fingerprints taken so that I could get the SIM card. So we did that, and 2 days later, I was able to get the SIM card. But, you know, for those of you who may want to come, and you're 60 or older, have to make sure you ask to be fingerprinted at the airport so you can get your SIM card. Because most people get their SIM card at the airport once they've gotten their visa. But for the elderly and the younger ones, it's a little bit different. But anyway, that was a small hurdle that we were able to cross. But when I got here, I really felt at home. I really did. As a matter of fact, this past Sunday, I found a church to go to. I was told it was an English-speaking church because that's what I was looking for. And when I arrived at the church, you know, I went into the church and the service was in progress. At least the first part of the service was in progress. And they were singing in Swahili and speaking in Swahili. And of course, I really couldn't understand what was being said. So it became obvious that they weren't doing English. Okay, so I got up to leave, and as I stepped outside, a gentleman walked up to me, and he said, "What is the problem?" I was aware right away that he spoke English, so I told him I thought this was an English-speaking church. He says, "Oh, you're from America?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, we used to do English services, but they don't anymore." I said, "Well, is there another church nearby that does it?" And he thought a second, and he says, "Yes." He says, so we started walking. And I said to him, I said, "Well, you can just tell me, give me directions, and I can find it." He says, "No problem." The church was about two blocks away, and the gentleman walked me all the way to the other church. Okay. And as we got there, he said, "Well, you stand out here." And he went in to talk to somebody. I didn't know he went in and talked to the pastor. Their church was in service also, but of course the pastor had not entered the pulpit yet. So he came back out. He said, "The pastor will see you." Okay. And then he shook my hand. I thanked him for walking me all the way to the church. I mean, that's how these people are. They're overly friendly. And sometimes because of their friendliness and because of my Western mindset, a lot of times I've gotten suspicious of people, probably immaturely. But of course, I got 66 years of a Western mindset that I'm going to have to detox from. But people are extremely friendly, okay, to a point where it can get suspicious a lot of times. So I went in and talked with the pastor and everything, introduced myself, and he said that they have two services. The first service, they have an English interpreter, and the second service is all Swahili. So we went in, and I sat, in the front row of the one side of the church. And it's very nice. No air conditioning. They had fans going. And the churches I've seen so far in this area primarily are outdoors. Even the first church, it was a huge building similar to a warehouse. Um, the floor was concrete, and I don't mean smooth concrete, it was just concrete floor like you would see in some warehouses and whatever. But, had lights and ceiling fans, of course, no air conditioning. But immediately when I got in there, I could see that all of the frills and the fancy this and fancy that was gone. So your focus could be totally on God. And that was a beautiful thing. But anyway, I got back to the second church and everything. A pastor preached in English, and it was translated in Swahili to his congregation. And the pastor himself has been to America a couple of times. The church is called the Oasis Health Ministry, Oasis of Health Ministry. Now, a lot of the words that we have here in America, that they have in America, are pronounced differently here. Here we would pronounce it Oasis, but there they pronounce it Oasis. So it's Oasis Ministry of Health. But the service was good, and the pastor said, "Well, I'm going to give you my driver to take you home." And actually, it turned out to be one of the members. It was actually a lady driver and her daughter and her three sons. And they had a pretty big van that she drove, and they brought me home. And the son is a doctor, actually. So the pastor said he would help me find an apartment or a home, whichever I prefer, without the fear of being hustled, because that is a big concern. I've been hustled quite a bit as far as these apartments are concerned. And when I say hustle, they do things a little different here. In America, the only time you use an agent is when you're buying a home. Here in Tanzania, you use an agent, what they call a agent, when you're renting. So in other words, you get a real estate agent to help you when you're renting as well as buying. These agents don't have any qualifications whatsoever. And when they want to show you a house, usually people say, well, if they show you a house and you don't like it, you don't pay them anything for it. If they show you 4 or 5 houses, or apartments, you usually give them a little something. And my driver and I, we talked to, or rather he talked to an agent on the phone. And when we went to pick the agent up, and yes, you heard me correctly, 90% of the agents, you have to pick them up, and they'll show you the property. So when we went to pick the agent up, there were 3 gentlemen that got in the back seat. And of course, here again, me with my westernized mindset, I'm like, okay, what's going on? And my driver laughed, and he says there are 3 houses we're going to see and a different agent for each house. I said, okay. He had no problem with it, and mind you, he didn't know the guy that he was talking to on the phone, so he didn't know the agents as well. But we were laughing and talking, and everybody's impressed with the little Swahili that I speak, because I made it a point to learn about 50 words and phrases, as well as my numbers and the days of the week and things like that, so that, I wouldn't be totally in the dark when I got here. And when I start speaking, everybody just laughs, and they just, they're impressed. And sometimes I pronounce the words wrong. I have the right words, but I don't pronounce the syllables correctly. Because here, if you don't pronounce things correctly, people will absolutely not know what you're saying. Okay? They will not know. But at any rate, just wanted to give you guys an update on how things are here. I love it. It's absolutely beautiful. And yes, I do want to stay. Okay. Now, it's funny, again, and I will be saying this from time to time, things are different. Okay. The water, you don't want to drink the water. Okay. And the issue is not with the water. The issue is with the antiquated pipe system that the water comes through, because you can smell the rust in the water. Okay, I washed my hairbrush, and when it dried, I smelled it. All you could smell was rust. Okay, so every day when they clean my room, they leave 2 bottles of water. Okay, so I take half a bottle of water and use that to brush my teeth with and everything. And so you drink a lot of bottled water here. But yeah, the water is rusty and you can smell it. And that in itself explained to me why some of the people smelled a certain way. Okay, now there's some who don't use deodorant. Okay, but for the most part, I've seen people who you could tell were very clean, but when they pass by, you smell the same odor on all of them, and it's because of their bathing in the water. Okay, but people are friendly. And I must say, there are things that they do here that we in America consider as rude, but here it's just a part of their everyday life. In other words, in America, if 2 people are walking together and someone walks between them, that's rude. Here, not only will they walk between the 2 of you, they might bump shoulders with you, not say a word, keep on going, not meaning any harm at all. Okay, it's just how they are. Okay, I was standing at a counter at a restaurant ordering my food, and this lady came up, and I mean, she pretty much had her chin on my shoulder, looking over my shoulder as if I was a relative of her or her boyfriend or something, and me, I'm looking like, okay. But after I ordered and I stepped to the side to wait on my order, everybody was doing that. They just come right up to the counter, touching. I mean, they touch you a lot, okay? A lot of incidental contact, but then even when they're talking to you, they touch a lot, okay? And it's something you have to get used have to get used to. But it just shows the nature of the people, okay? And this is just their culture. This is what they do. They mean absolutely no harm. So if you plan on coming here, you really have to readjust your mindset because things are different, okay? They drive on the opposite side of the road. The steering wheel is on the opposite side of the car. And I tell you, my daughter's been telling me to take some video while driving or while riding, actually. I haven't had time to take video. I've been looking out for my life because these people, they drive. Ooh, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it so you can see for yourself. And what I was telling you about the motorcycles, they are what makes the road dangerous because they jump in and out and, oh, man. But anyway, family, just wanted to give you a little snippet of what's going on, and this will be the first of many, especially once I get my apartment and get my own Wi-Fi set up and everything, because Wi-Fi is a critical issue here. As long as you're close to the city, you can have consistent Wi-Fi, but as you move out from the city, consistent Wi-Fi becomes an issue. So that will play a part in where I end up living as well. But anyway, family, I love you. I thank God for you. I pray that God will bless you tremendously and that all your wishes for the new year will be fulfilled. Nakupenda tuanane. I love you. See you soon. Kwaheri. Bye.